Christmas. So, Bob, if we cast our minds back to that day in 1984, did you have any idea of how important in terms of music history that day would become?
Of course, I immediately knew that this was going to, No, I mean, it was just Midge and I, a damp October afternoon, I'd called them, and I said we should do something, and we just knocked out a song that we thought would do to get us up to Christmas. You had to work hard in advance because it was all physical, you had to get them made. And the first person we called was Foregone Conclusion, obviously, to be honest,
Clearly.
I'd broken up, mate, And so we just, the Rats had been non-stop 10 years for having songs, and that was beginning to taper off. There were a whole new generation of people, Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, Boy George, George Michael, Eurythmics, all those people. And I knew them from them being on the go-go 80s rock show, The Tube. My missus was the host with Jules. And they used to come and stay in our rock star house at the time. And so I called, and Spandau Ballet came back from Japan. Duran came back from Germany that night. Sting wandered up the road. And it's very English. If you see the film, which is going out on BBC4, and I think it's on iPlayer from tonight or something. It's so English, because I went to USA for Africa, Mount Rushmore, Willie Nelson, Ray Charles, Smokey Robinson, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, and then you see our mob, and they're sort of slumping up spots just out of school, and it's so amateurish. I mean, Quincy Jones had all these notes. Arnold could barely read music, never mind notes, and they're all going, when somebody did a vocal, they're going, shut up, it's supposed to, and they're crowding around the control room, and they're all going, what about this one, Midge? And Midge was going, please stop,
Well, so Bob, should we see some of these?
You'll see all that, and I brought George Michael in, and he's moaning that he had his own single, he'd just written his own Christmas song called, and Paul said, sing it, and he goes, last Christmas I gave you my heart, and she says, that's quite good, and he goes, yeah, but this one's going to be #1, still all in a good cause. So I go over and I say, Bono, do you know George Michael? And Bono goes, hi, like this, and Bono's nervous, and George turns around and says, what's it? I get so nervous when I meet pop stars. They're so cute,
I tell you what, we're going to see some of them now, because the song has been hitting the headlines already, and we'll touch on that in a second.
1,000 plays today alone.
Wow.
1,000.
Well, I think people at home will be desperate now to see it.
This is honestly...
She's asking you to shut up so they can play the singing.
Let me tee it up.
Go on, you tee it up.
Because it's 3 generations of... This is the arc of British rock and roll. Doesn't include Foregone Conclusion, but otherwise it would have been of 40 years, 3 generations. And I asked Trevor Horn, can he make them all be on one track? And he said they're all singing the same lines. So I said, try. And the director, Ollie Murray, you may have seen the Beatles. He put the Beatles back together. I asked him, can all these singers, Harry Styles, 1D, to young Sting, to young Bono, can they all be in the same room singing together? He said, I'd try. It's extraordinary, and it's beautiful, and it starts with your co-star David Bowie, and it's just great.
Well, we're going to play it now. We should say it does include footage from the famine in Ethiopia in 1984.
It's the history of it, that's why. We tried to show why this happened.
Yeah, and some of those scenes you may find upsetting.
Now, this is the global exclusive of Do They Know It's Christmas by Band Aid 40.